So starting off from the last video when I was looking at examples on how to do the homework that's due on October 10th, we looked at the other problem with the student and adult tickets. I graphed it, defined the x and y intercepts, and for that problem, since it was in standard form, then I only needed to define the x and y intercepts. It didn't make sense to define the slope, and then I finished up the problem as according to the situation, according to what I was asked for in the problem. Let's look and revisit this problem with Betsy reading her book for English. Remember, she has 20 pages left to read. She reads 5 pages an hour, and we want to write an equation that has the number of pages she read as a function of the number of hours she spends reading. We have to graph the equation for this homework, and we have to find out when she finished the book, and we'll figure that out by graphing, or we could figure it out by algebra. And this is going to actually be a special point on the graph, and we'll talk more about that later. But let's first graph it. So we have some space down here. Here's the equation. And it makes sense that we don't need to do the whole cross axes because she's starting off at 20 pages, kind of like the shopping situation. We don't care about the other pages, so we're just going to scale this 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, and we want to have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hour slots. Okay, so this is hours Betsy spends reading, and this is number of pages Betsy has left to read. It's very important to label your axes exactly as you have written the definition of your independent and dependent variables. So let's just make sure I did this. Okay, so your independent variable is number of hours that Betsy spends reading, number of hours spent reading, yeah. And dependent variable, number of pages that Betsy has left to read, number of pages Betsy has left to read. Sometimes it's also good to label your axes. We're used to, or at least my brain is so trained to say x and y. Look, I did it again, look at this. X and y, that when we switch variables, sometimes it's difficult to switch it in our minds as well. So go ahead and label your axes so it makes sense for the problem. Now for graphing, we're going to make sure we label our x and y intercepts and our slope. And in this situation, all three are important. First, the y intercept is where she started reading. She had that many pages left, okay? So I'm going to define the, and in this case it's not the y-intercept, is it? It's the p-intercept, means that Betsy has 20 pages left to read when she starts again. You know, you can word that however you want, but the idea is that it's like she's picking up the book and she notices she has 20 pages left. And so she's already read a few pages. Then we define the slope, which in this case is -5. So then that means that Betsy reads 5 pages per hour. And you can make a little note that it is taken away from the total pages read. you can just kind of make a note of exactly why we have negative there, because I'm sure some of you guys were wondering why. We're taking that away from the total of 20. So we have 0, 20, we have -5 for every hour, and if we draw this correctly, ooh, good, okay, we have our x-intercept, which is 4, 0. So in this case, it's our h-intercept, and that means that Betsy will finish reading in 4 hours. Now, in this case, we already answered the last page, and this is why the last problem part, last part of the problem, when we wanted to find out when she will finish the book. She's going to finish the book in 4 hours, and this is the significance of the h-intercept. And in this case, it's kind of like our x-intercept. I'm saying x in quotes because it's not really x-intercept, it's h-intercept. Now, hopefully from the demonstration of this video and the other video, you have diligently watched both and have understood how to do the homework.